I'm trying to get the richest I've never been in my life. You know what I'm saying? Right now, if you could see, man, your boy iced out, man. I probably got over 75 bands worth of jewelry on me right now.
This is Raheem Grant, and in 2017, he was going to take his rap game to a whole new level. But no one could imagine what bought him the fame he desired.
I do not care if I go to jail for the rest of my life.
So what really happened on this fateful night of the recording? Let's find out about the rapper who filmed his own bloody murder. But before that, please don't forget to like and subscribe. A twisted love story. 28-year-old Sierra Harp was the ex-lover of Raheem Grant and the mother of their 3-year-old girl, Angel. In 2017, they all lived together in Riverdale, Georgia, despite not being a couple. Raheem was only 3 when he discovered his passion for music. He picked up the drums and then started rapping to beats he'd make. He got his first break at the ripe age of 7 when he worked on Showtime at the Apollo, an educational show for kids. As a teenager, Raheem adopted the rap name Red Beezy. He started making music for others as well as his own tracks. He became well known in Atlanta's rap scene and even got to perform as an opening act for Ludacris. His mom, Geraldine, managed his career from a young age, supporting his passion and encouraging him to connect with bigger artists. And in 2018, he was set to go on his first tour across the country.
We're really working with a lot of people, making a lot of connections, you know what I'm saying, that usually wouldn't be made. You know what it is, like real mob connections, dog.
What is it that you want to accomplish this year?
Get money. You already know it, man. I'm trying to get the richest I've never been in my life.
But beyond his rap persona, Raheem was a dedicated dad who loved spending time at home with Sierra and Angel. Although Raheem and Sierra weren't romantically involved, they decided to raise their baby together when Sierra became pregnant. So they set up their home in a secure, gated community to provide a safe environment for their daughter. However, Raheem faced a challenge as he wasn't officially recognized as Angel's father on her birth certificate, and he didn't have custody rights. Sierra worked in marketing for local bars and clubs where she crossed paths with Raheem. Their relationship blossomed amidst the hustle and bustle of the venue, leading to unexpected parenthood. Despite the unconventional circumstances, both Raheem and Sierra embraced the idea of becoming parents. Sierra was determined to be a loving mom, dedicating all her energy and resources to raising Angel. For Raheem, Angel symbolized an opportunity to aspire for greater things, to earn more, and to pursue meaningful goals. Even though Raheem portrayed the image of a tough gangster rapper, he also spoke out against the violence prevalent in the rap industry. He chose not to carry a gun in conflicts with rival artists, advocating for peace instead.
You can roll the dice, but don't bow, cause you gambling with your life.
But Raheem's life was like a story with 2 different sides. Sometimes he advocated peace, which made people believe he was above the rap scene. But other times, he got caught up in conflicts like many other rappers do, trying to get attention online. One day, he told his mom he was afraid for his life, worried he might not make it to 30 due to the conflicts. On December 29th, 2017, late at night, police broke into Raheem's home where he lived with his family. They found Raheem dead, with his face down in one of his home corridors. He had 3 gunshot wounds. He was only 28, just like he had feared. His mom was devastated to hear what happened, especially after he had confided in her about his fears. 2 different stories. However, this is where it gets suspicious. That evening, police in Riverdale entered Raheem's house to arrest him. They were under utter shock to discover him laying there. Around 10:50 p.m. on December 29th, a neighbor called 911. Sierra and Angel were at the neighbor's house, and Sierra was bleeding heavily. She was so frantic that she could barely speak. The neighbor said that Raheem was probably responsible for this. Sierra was too shell-shocked to comment on this, and this is why the police had rushed to the Riverdale gated community that fateful night. They came to arrest a DV attacker, but found a dead man instead. When the officers arrived at the neighbor's house, they found Sierra with cuts on her legs, screaming and crying while holding her daughter dearly, afraid for their safety. The news spread rapidly across the internet, leaving people in disbelief that Red Beezy, who claimed to oppose violence, could be Detectives faced a daunting task in unraveling the truth, especially as Sierra was still incoherent. Initially, the forensic team discovered a knife with red marks discarded on the floor of Raheem and Sierra's residence. However, it was within the neighbor's home that they found the firearm. Upon checking its records, authorities learned the firearm belonged to a member of Raheem's family. Yet when questioned, Raheem's mother Geraldine defended her son, denying any ability for violent anger. She pointed to Raheem's tendency to walk away when upset and his dislike for aggression, which was proven by his public statements. However, Geraldine pointed the blame at Sierra, accusing her of opportunism and obsession with her son. She said that Sierra intentionally became pregnant to trap Raheem and benefit from his luxurious lifestyle. In Geraldine's view, Angel was merely a pawn in Sierra's scheme. The detectives thought Geraldine's theory was far-fetched and that she was in denial that her son could be involved in DV. Silly Sierra and the recording. Sierra was treated at the hospital as a victim as all her wounds lined up as being defensive wounds. She was immediately cleared as a suspect, but detectives did have to speak to her. She was uncontrollably drunk on that night, so drunk that she was fighting off the hospital staff. As she remained hospitalized, Sierra told the detectives that the night of December 29th was a blur for her. The only thing she could allegedly remember was that Raheem started taking Xanax and alcohol while she cooked. She pleaded with him not to mix substances, knowing it often turned ugly. But as usual, he ignored her and grew angry at her attempts to control him. His anger escalated into violence, and he started to physically assault her. That's when a knife slipped out of Sierra's ankle holster. Why she had a knife strapped onto herself at home with an infant is a question for another time. According to Sierra, Raheem picked up the knife and began to jab her with it. Terrified for her life, she reached for Raheem's firearm and fired until he could no longer harm her. It then dawned on her that baby Angel saw everything. All Sierra could think to do was grab Angel and run out. The rest of the night, she said, was a haze, and she did not even remember getting hospitalized. Detectives then updated Sierra on Raheem's autopsy. The findings were oddly not aligning with her account of the night. It was not looking good for her. He had 7 gunshot wounds and several small hits to his face. The worst attack seemed to happen after he had already passed and fallen to the ground. It was a gun wound to the back of his head while he was laid deceased face down on the ground. This made Sierra look like a calculated and evil murderer. She tried to defend herself by saying she could not see due to blood being in her eyes, and the hit marks on his face were self-inflicted by him. Sierra was spewing complete nonsense. Was her hysteria on the night just an act? The detectives pressed her harder for more information, and she finally said, okay, there was another witness. So that night, Raheem was chilling with his friend Elise Jones. Since Sierra and Raheem weren't exactly exclusive, they were cool with each other dating others and bringing them over. Sierra stated Elise was around when the argument kicked off between them, but when Sierra reached out for assistance, Elise left the apartment. The detectives questioned Elise later about what went down. Elise claimed she didn't see any physical altercations. She mentioned she was just chilling on the couch when Sierra and Raheem moved to another room. She heard them going at it, which weirded her out, so she texted Raheem saying she was leaving and then left without seeing them. As more clues rolled in, Sierra was looking less and less believable. Meanwhile, Geraldine spoke with the detectives again around that time, and she dropped a crucial piece of information. She told the detectives that she always told her son to record everything on his phone whenever he felt like he would get in trouble, and that they should check if anything was on there. Luckily, the police already had Raheem's phone from the crime scene. However, they left it in a locker as they didn't have the passcode. Funnily enough, they managed to get the passcode out of Sierra, telling her they needed it to wrap up the case. What was found on the phone was shocking. Detectives never thought they would see something like this. Raheem managed to record his own entire murder. Recording play-by-play. The phone was a gold mine. The first video on the fateful night of December 29th showed Raheem in the bathroom with his face bruised and red. He pointed the phone camera to the mirror while he explained all the awful things Sierra was doing to him. He continued to say he was in extreme pain, and he cannot believe that the mother of his child can do such things to him. And if you listen closely to the footage, you can hear Sierra screaming crazily from another room in the background. All of a sudden, a bullet catches Raheem in the video. He drops the phone glued to the floor, but luckily it keeps recording. Then we can see Sierra walking with a gun in her hand, but what is extremely noticeable is that she is wearing shorts and her legs are unscathed. Yep, this means that she had no defense wounds and that she must have mutilated her legs herself. She gone girled herself. Sierra then noticed the phone was filming the situation, so she quickly stopped it and decided to film herself. She acted like a victim and started claiming that she had been being used in their situationship for the last 4 years. Very sadly, in the background, you can hear Raheem on his final breath saying, "Sierra, do not do this," and warned her that she will go to prison for the rest of her life. Even though she had shot him, he was still worried about her. That shows his true character and love for people. But how did Sierra respond to this?
I do not care if I go to jail for the rest of my life.
Sierra fired several more shots. With his last ounce of power, heartbreakingly, Raheem said he was going to die. His last words were, "Can I hug my daughter?" Sierra replied, "You can crawl to her, mother." Sierra then fired into his head 2 more times. What a monster. Chaos in court. The 13 minutes of footage on Raheem's phone were extremely incriminating, and not to forget that poor baby Angel witnessed the murder of her own father. After Sierra was confronted with the evidence, she tried to lie her way through and continue claiming it was self-defense. She even went on to call Raheem a monster. However, as the evidence was so prevalent, on February 22nd, 2018, almost 2 months after that incident, Sierra was arrested. Thank God. But why did she do this? What was the motive behind this brutality? More information came out. Just 1 month before the brutal murder, Raheem requested full custody of their daughter, and Sierra complied. But we still don't understand why she just ended up murdering him. Sierra's hearing was a circus. She was berated. Take a look at this.
How mad do you have to make your own mom to have her ask the judge to sterilize you? This murder case is taking family drama to new levels, pitting a mom against her own daughter.
We, the family, asked the court to sterilize Sierra Hart to prevent any more children being born. We also asked for the highest punishment of life without parole.
This was Sierra's own mother.
Envious nature took control and you murdered Raheem for moving on without you. You repeatedly hurt the family, our family, and all the people who ever tried to help you.
Apparently, since Sierra was young, she displayed behaviors of anti-socialism and evilness towards all who loved her. Despite her mother trying for years to help her, she continued to grow into a monster. As Sierra listened to her mom in pain, she started swearing at her. No light behind her evil eyes.
You reveled in disrespect, foolery, and ignorance. Wherever you went, chaos and trouble were sure to follow.
Sierra was sentenced to 125 years in prison. Rest assured, she can never murder an innocent person again. But before hearing her punishment, Sierra turned to apologize to Geraldine and asked the judge for leniency. Obviously, this was a ploy to request the judge to take it easy on her.
And I throw myself at the mercy of the court. I truly apologize, and I'm very sorry.
To further prove Raheem was not a violent man, why would Sierra be okay to leave their daughter with him in full custody if he was such a person? Speaking of Angel, she was shortly taken by CPS as the investigation continued. However, she is now being raised by Sierra's mother. She is in safe hands and has a family that loves her and dotes on her. We just hope that she can overcome the trauma she's experienced from this. What are your thoughts on Sierra and Raheem? Were you a fan of him? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.